or at the bottom is the apex, it's the pointy part. Then the flat part at the top here is called the base. Does anybody have that list? Just to make sure I go through all of the...
It's on my iPad's dead. Can't help.
I'll borrow that list from one of y'all. You just put it there on the table. So apex, base, pericardial sac. So the pericardial sac is the sac that surrounds the heart, and so you have to cut it open and remove it to get to the heart. So you're not going to really see it, but you can see parts of it where it was cut off at. So it would come out and it would surround the heart, and it produces a fluid. So the heart is inside the sac, which has fluids, which has a fluid. So when the heart beats, it's in a frictionless environment. It just makes it more efficient, right? Epicardium, epicardium or visceral pericardium, same thing, covers the outside of the heart as the epicardium. Remember, visceral means covering organs, right? So visceral pericardium, covering the outside. Myocardium, if you open up the heart, and you see this brownish stuff right here, all that, that's myocardium. And then endocardium is kind of the shiny, slick stuff that lines the inside of the ventricles and the atria. All right? And then interventricular groove is on the outside. So it's the groove that separates the right and the left ventricles. Right? Interventricular groove. Enter, in between, ventricular, ventricle. In between the ventricles. All right? Left atria, right atria, left ventricle, right ventricle. So if you look at the front, and you know you're looking at the front, so here's the pulmonary trunk, then this is the right-hand side, this is the left-hand side, right? Also, you can tell if you open it up and you compare the widths of the two sides of the outsides of the ventricles, see how this one's a lot thicker compared to this one? So the one that's really thick is the left-hand side, the one that's thinner is going to be the right-hand side, all right? So ventricles are on the bottom, and the atria are on the top, and in between them are the atria ventricular valves, or AV valves. One's the mitral valve or bicuspid valve, one's the tricuspid, right? So on the left hand, so what side is this over here?
Left.
The left, and so this space down here would be the, is at the bottom. What's on the bottom? The ventricles, right? So this would be the left ventricle, and what's the valve that's on the left-hand side?
Tricuspid?
It's the bicuspid.
No, bicuspid.
Yeah, bicuspid valve, the mitral valve. So this is the bicuspid valve, and these are the chordae tendineae. So they connect. They're attached to the valve up here, and then down here at the base, they're attached to the papillary muscles, right? So they hold the valve and keep it from getting pushed up into the atria whenever the ventricles contract. All right. So chordae tendineae, papillary muscle. And this is the left-hand side, which would make this the bicuspid valve. Left ventricle, left atria, right here as well. And then, so of course you come on the other side and you have the right ventricle, right atria, and what's the valve on the right-hand side?
Tricuspid.
Tricuspid. So there's the tricuspid with the chordae tendineae and the papillary muscles at the base. And then the other type of valve that's in here is called a semilunar valve. And so you can tell these two apart because the AV valves have the chordae tendineae, and the semilunar valves, which is part of one here and part of one here, don't have chordae tendineae. All right. So semilunar valves, there's one right here. This is both part of the same one. You know, if I put this together, you can see how it comes together there. That's called the aortic semilunar valve because it separates the left ventricle from the aorta, keeps blood from coming back into the left ventricle once it leaves and is pushed out in the aorta, right? That's what valves do, right? They keep stuff moving in one direction, keep backflow from happening. Chordae tendineae. Oh, so this is the aortic semilunar valve. The pulmonary semilunar valve is easier to see if you cut open the pulmonary trunk, which is right here. You look in here, there's the pulmonary semilunar valve. It's right there, right? Pulmonary semilunar valve. Okay? And this, like I said, is the pulmonary trunk right here, which takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Interventricular septum is going to be the inside part that separates the left and the right ventricles. Remember, on the outside is the groove, interventricular groove. On the inside is the septum. Both of them separate the left and right ventricles. Superior and inferior vena cava. So, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. If you put your fingers in there, they come together, and they both go into where?
Right atrium.
The right atrium. Right. Coronary sinus, don't worry about IDing it on here, but just know what it does. You know, it's bringing deoxygenated blood that was circulating in the heart back to the right atrium, right? Pulmonary trunk is right here. It's usually on the front, and it's usually cut open, like I said, right there. Aorta, so if you open the heart, remember the aortic semilunar valve, above that is the aorta. So on the inside you can see the aorta. And if you come and look on the outside, this is the aorta right here, on the top. Alright? And then the pulmonary veins are taking oxygenated blood from the lungs back into the left atrium, right? So if you open this up and look, here's the left atrium, right? So follow this out, the opening, that's one of the coronary veins, right? So on the outside you can see it here. Open it, see it goes into the left atrium, right? So that's a coronary vein. Or sorry, pulmonary vein, not coronary vein, pulmonary vein, sorry. And that's all the main things that you need to be able to ID for the heart, alright?